Thank you. Well, thank you for being here for the Government Relations Committee meeting. It is Wednesday, September 29th, and I call this meeting to order. We have general business. Mr. Clark, is the verification of the meeting been properly posted?
Yes, it has.
Thank you. And it looks like we have no citizens here for public comment today. And we have action items. Approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on to our discussion and information items. We have a review of summer legislation, connections, and meetings. Dr. Siebert?
All right. Thank you, Ms. Reinachek. Good to see everyone. So, thank you, first of all, for your involvement in those meetings. I think they've been very productive to date. So far, we've had 7 of those. We're still trying to orchestrate 2. But so far, we've met with, on July 19th, Representative Adam Nalen. On the 19th, we also met with Paul Farrow, County Executive. 27th of July, we met with Mayor Sean Riley and his counterpart Kevin Lehner at the city. On the 29th of July, we met with Senator Julian Bradley. On the 2nd of August, we met with Senator Dale Koyenga. And then on the 9th of September, we met with Shannon Ho from Congressman Fitzgerald's office. And on the 16th of September, Rich Zipperer from Congressman Stiles' office. So I thought it was just great that we were able to orchestrate those, that you were able to make the time, Mr. Clark as well, and just to start building those connections right deeper. And I know we have some, but with me being newer, for me to be able to build those connections too, I think is important. And we had kind of a script that we went through with everybody and talking about what they were interested in and different strengths that they saw or areas where they had passions and interests in growing and working together, and ways that we could inform them about the district and district matters, and ways that they can feel comfortable in reaching out to us when they have questions. So I think they went exceedingly well, and we'll get those other 2 scheduled for the fall. I was just talking to Mr. Zenobia. I said right now the state legislature is pretty much in session and going through some various bills. So we'll give them a little bit of time, and those are 2 of the people that we're still trying to orchestrate visits with. But we certainly will do that, and we'll continue to reach out to them and build the partnership, all kind of working toward that January luncheon type of activity that we talked with all of them about, where we'll bring them all back together here where we can highlight the district and continue to further build those relationships. But that's just a high-level overview. I thought it'd be nice if any of you wanted to kind of comment on, or Mr. Clark, your perspectives as we've went through those visits throughout the summer and early fall.
Does anyone have any comments about those meetings, questions? Well, I want to thank you, Dr. Siebert, for initiating those. Sitting in on them, I learned a lot and took lots of notes of things that they were involved in, things that I didn't know, areas that they covered, and just special committees that they were on and their passions and such. And just hearing that some of the things they didn't know about us and that they wanted to know more of, and the ways that they could help us. So I thought that those were very beneficial, and I look forward to January. So thank you for initiating all those. And thank you both for coming to them. Anything?
Yes. I guess I'll follow up with, it was nice to have the opportunity to sit directly with them, to either them or their representatives, to share with them that as they're in their decision-making process, that we're here as the local level to give our input, share directly what our constituents are asking of us, and offering it vice versa as they're working at their state levels or even at the federal level, to seek our input as well, or just to help smooth things out, because ultimately we're all working towards the same goal, just at different levels, and it was nice to have the opportunity for them to hear it directly from our committee representing the full board. So we appreciate that opportunity. Excuse me.
Good point and well said. Okay. All right, then moving on, the review of draft goals for the committee.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Reinachek. So in your packets, we have 3 stems, if you will, or suggestions for goals that we could consider as a committee. Ultimately, these can be tweaked, modified, added to, deleted, whatever the committee so choose. And what the three are that are currently written. Number one is continue to work to build strong relationships with our local and elected officials, which we just talked about and could continue to do. Number two is invite legislators and elected officials into our schools and district on a regular basis, which I think would further build those connections and relationships. And number three is monitor state and federal legislation and legislative ideas with an idea on advocating for the school district of Waukesha and the state of Wisconsin. And that allows us to have both the relationships at the local level, at the state level, and at the federal level that we've begun to establish. But certainly just ideas, like I said, and would welcome your feedback on ways we could improve those or other areas you'd like to see as a group.
Thoughts from you guys? Either one of those. Could you run through them one more time?
Absolutely. Happy to. Number one is continue to work to build strong relationships with local and elected officials. Number two, invite legislators and elected officials into our schools and district on a regular basis. Number three, monitor state and federal legislation and legislative ideas with an eye on advocating for the school district of Waukesha and the state of Wisconsin.
So I have a question. How would Wasbee differ than the third one? If Wasbee's, as a whole, collectively, as we are advocating for things, how would we do that differently in the school district of Waukesha? Would we just be singled out of that, or?
Well, I think it's a great question, Ms. Reinacek. I think we would continue to follow the WASB and the legislative advocacy that they do, and every year we have an opportunity to put forward our own ideas that go through the delegate assembly. Mr. Zenobia is the rep for us for. That comes in January at the state education convention. So if there are legislative ideas that we specifically have, we can run them through that particular process. Or similar to last year, what we did in this particular committee is we came up with our own legislative priorities that we thought were important as they related specifically to us. And Mr. Clark and I worked on that, and then we worked on that in this committee, and ultimately we brought that to the full board, and all 9 board members approved it, and then we pushed that out to all of our elected officials. Those are a couple ways that we can do some of our own things, but to the extent that we can do things in partnership and concert with the WASB, I think there's value there too.
Okay.
I think just to elaborate on the third idea, to monitor the ideas and legislative pieces that are coming out, most of the representatives that came to us shared that there's a link or a website that you can go to watch things that as they're rolling through their offices. So I think just to that point, just continuing to share with the full board, whether it goes through this committee and Ms. Reinacek, or out to the board directly with the Friday updates, just so that we can, maybe for me, mostly to just make it a habit to continue to be watching those and not waiting for it to come to me. And then last minute scrambling saying, what is this? So just keeping that on the forefront for all of us.
I appreciate the suggestion, Ms. Roddy. We definitely can do that.
Can you expand on January when these representatives would be invited? What does that look like? Kind of would Mary
I
Jo?
think we should have some discussion on what we could do with that, because I think it's an opportunity for us to first and foremost just get them back in the district, for us to have lunch together and enjoy each other's company. But then I think it's also an opportunity for us to share and showcase the district and a lot of the things that we're proud of, and also provide an opportunity for them to talk about different legislative topics or interest areas, again, that they are seeing. And so who knows where we'll be by January. There's a number of bills that are being debated at the state level right now, and it'll primarily be the state people, I think, that would hopefully be able to come. But that's kind of what I'm thinking, but I'm very open to how we could do it. And I know we've done something like that in the past, so perhaps there's things that were really good that we could pull from.
I wonder if we could almost poll them, where we could give them an invitation and just kind of like a checklist. What would you, how many hours do you have during the day? Would it be yourself or would it be a representative? And then say, would you like to visit a STEM school? Would you like to look at one of our academies? Or would you like to read with kids? Like just a very, just like a variety of different things that we might have going on in January that they could be a part of. And then what's your time limit? Is it 1 to 3 hours? Is it 1 hour? Is it a half hour lunchtime? Is it a half a day? And then if they can't, someone wants to spend the whole day seeing the school district of Waukesha and what we're made of, then we can offer that. And if someone only has an hour, then we would just get a feel of what they would like and their involvement. And then if we only have like an hour of people's time, then the one that, or a few that want to come for more, then maybe that's another day. Or maybe those people leave and then we continue on with the rest of the day, just to kind of give everybody what they want. Maybe some person wants to see, because our different representatives handle different things in their own way. So if we offer a variety and then can somehow plan a schedule around that to accommodate everyone's desire, then maybe that would help.
Love the idea, yes.
Mr. Zenobia.
Is there something specific going on here within the district in January that could be melded with them coming in for a specific reason? Is there any events going on at that time, or would this just be invitation to these legislators for, come and get to know us?
Yeah, I wasn't trying to pin it necessarily with anything specific. I just thought January might be a good time, since we had met in the summer, roughly 6 months later, and then if we tried again next summer to have more connection, like we'd have a regular cycle.
Okay.
But yeah, we can certainly, to Ms. Reinachek's point, we can offer items like that on a day in January or anytime, as we have them coming up, we can offer them to people. But it would be pretty neat to have them come and have a kind of a choice of what they'd maybe like to see. Probably inspires more of them to actually take advantage of the opportunity, hopefully.
No, you offered a great idea, and I think while it is nice to invite to specific, big things, I think the importance of the long term of everything is looking at the day-to-day operations of the district. So it's actually a really great idea to highlight all the way across, but people will come in where their schedules will allow. Our previous luncheons that we've had here took place right here at Lindholm. A lot of the banners, if you're familiar with the banners that were hung at the county fair, which had pictures and folders and events of all the different things that are done in the district. Those were all displayed. Lunch was brought in by our food vendor, and we sat and talked. The superintendent and deputy superintendent presented a little bit. Forgive me, I don't recall if you were with us. I don't think.
My presentations are off.
That's not what I meant. Okay, thank you. But we had folks come in and present, and then from that, conversation was sparked and different questions. I think we were an hour and a half of their time in the afternoon, and we offered two different ones. One was actually to the representatives, and the other was to realtors in our area. So. But it was the same concept with both groups. So it was very simple. And it was everybody from the mayor up are electeds in the state. So that's just some context for the previous events.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Roddy. What I recall is a lot of our statistics were on the screen, and there was, when we asked at the end, did you learn anything? Does anyone have any closing remarks or thoughts? We heard back from them saying, I didn't know this or I didn't know that. So I thought that was pretty powerful to just, if they get it in in an email or something, sometimes you can gloss over it, but when they had the data right in front of them, had to stop, they were eating or whatever it was when they were watching it, they remembered that and took it all the way to the end and said, wow, I didn't know this. So for whatever reason, it was probably your presentation because they really remembered it.
We can certainly work those concepts in without a doubt. I think I love the idea too. So let me spend some time on that, and I'll kind of review with you if that's okay, kind of how it's shaping up, and then we'll figure out how to make it happen.
Excellent. Thank you. Yes.
I do have a question point to make on the third point. In looking at what the legislature has been proposing recently, they've laid out a few things for school districts in the state. And several of those things we've talked about within the district already. Now, it's unlikely that some of those things or all those things will even get passed because we have, split government in Wisconsin. But a few of those things like transparency and curriculums, and also there's been some guidelines put forward that they would like to see passed having to do with literacy. I think some of those things, although they may not become law in the short term, might be good guidance for districts like us to look at and consider taking some of the things that legislation has done and try to integrate those things that we've already been talking about. And sometimes that seems a little bit in conflict with a Wasbee. I know we mentioned the WASB. At a recent hearing, there was the talk on literacy. And what happened was one of the legislators was talking about the push to look at the new ways to get literacy a focal point in schools, and the WSAB rep was at odds with that. So I'm not sure that we can 100% trust everything that's done in those sessions from a perspective of a WSAB. I think there are pieces that we ourselves can seriously look at and integrate. On the literacy front, we had Senator Bradley come in, and I was able to sit in that session, and he had a lot of great points about that specific topic, and it was a passion of his, he told us. I thought that was very powerful. I thought that just aside from us getting to meet legislators in our district and bring them in and expose them to what we're doing here, there's also those opportunities to kind of pull in some of their passions and ideas that we're trying to already accomplish. We're already partners in something like literacy. So I think in just monitoring these things, I think that's great. If the Waukesha School District wants to be a true leader in these areas, I think there's a lot of great things that we can begin to do as a district that, the legislative process, whatever it may be, whether it turns out that they'll get things passed or not, I don't know. But especially in an area like literacy, I think there are some great points made in the bills that were created that we as a school district could look at and say, okay, these points are good. Is it possible to even integrate some of these things for the betterment of students? So I agree with the third point. I think in some cases we have to consider that with government, things may not get done. We may need to kind of take the mantle and go our own direction on them. So,
Fair.
My comment, I suppose. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zenobia. Great point. Okay. Moving on to the Wasbee Fall Regional Meeting.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Reinacek. So, I'm again going to assume that some of you have attended these fall regional meetings over the years. I have in other parts of the state. They're generally great networking opportunities. There's a dinner, and then there's always a presentation from John Ashley, who is the director of Wasbee, a very good man. Though this year it is on October 19th at the Ingleside Hotel, which I know where that is, right off the highway in Pewaukee, and begins at 6, dinner's at 6:30, and the meeting runs from 7:30 until 9. So I wanted to see if any of you were interested in attending. One thing to note is there is some significantly enhanced COVID protocols attached to this event now. So attendees joining us for the meal are required to show proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test taken within the previous 72 hours. So I just wanted to make sure everybody would know that. And if if people aren't comfortable with that option, you're welcome to attend the meeting portion only at no cost, and then face coverings are required for all attendees. So it's October 19th, which I believe is I want to say it was a Thursday? It's a Tuesday. Okay, Tuesday, okay. It's a Tuesday at the Ingleside. 6 is the registration and networking, 6:30 dinner, and meeting runs from 7:30 to 9. We do have policy that night as well on the calendar, so that would impact you, Mr. Zenobia. But just if I just wanted to make you aware of it, I wanted to make you aware of the enhanced COVID protocols. And so if you have interest in that, just feel free to contact Sue and I, and we will register you, and I would be happy to attend with any of you that would like to go as well.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Siebert. Well, now we would like to recognize Ms. Amanda Roddy for achieving Level 2 in the Wasbee Member Recognition Program.
Yes, and congratulations, Mrs. Roddy. This is wonderful. So this is a program that the WASB runs, and as board members go through various levels of professional development and continual growth, they get recognized at various levels. So for Mrs. Roddy to be recognized at Level 2 is impressive, and she actually will be recognized with this award at the regional meeting on Tuesday, October 19th at the Ingleside. So just want to say congratulations and thank you for your ongoing service to the district, and congratulations on a well-deserved award.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay, so the last part is other business. Any recommendations for future committee meetings? Nothing from our committee yet? Okay. If you should happen to have an idea or something, you could always ask Dr. Siebert or myself, and we could talk about that for the next meeting coming up. And we usually meet every 3 months now? Yes, okay. So I don't think we have any other business other than that. So, all right, thank you all for coming, and this meeting is adjourned.